Hello there, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Today I've invited back the wonderful Yasmin Elzomor. And Yasmin is the host of Humanity Feels podcast. How you doing, Yasmin? All right?
I'm good, Tony. Yeah, I'm hanging in there. I don't even know what day it is, but
how's Clown World started for you this year?
It's all right. It's going well. You know, the circus is it's good. It's good. It's exciting, you know. Yeah,
There's never a dull
act
moment, is there?
Yeah, it's a new act every day, you know. So
we were just talking off air, and Yasmin was telling me that all the clowns were queuing up outside the hospital to get tested.
it's crazy. Yeah, I live outside across the street from the hospital, and like there's that PCR truck or whatever it is. I don't even know anymore. And people are online wanting to get the tests, and I have the urge to yell out my window, and I'm like, no, lotus position.
So I know you're like me, you're huge on self-growth. I look at all your posts, I agree with most of them. It's like an obsession. And I'm all for leveling up and becoming the best version of myself and helping others to also become the best version of themselves as well. So what are you like? What are you working on this year in terms of, if you don't mind me asking, what areas in your life are you looking at leveling up at?
Oh my God. I mean, so like all areas, honestly. I think probably just like the emotional aspect, you know, like learning to sit with myself more, learning to feel more. I feel like I've lived my life trying to cut my sensitivity out and trying to cut my emotions out. And I realized that that's like my greatest power as a woman, is being able to sit with that and to feel sadness when it comes up, to feel anxiety when it comes up. So I think that's probably one of the main things that I'm like sitting with this year, and not judging it necessarily, like allowing it to be and not making stories or narratives of like why I feel the way I do. Not overanalyzing. I get into my head very much when I feel an emotion. I'm like, why am I feeling this way? Could it be this, this, this? I mean, it's great to know, you know, the root cause, but it's also important to feel and to get out of your head and into your heart a little bit more. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. And obviously other things in my life, like my financial aspect, you know, like learning how to grow in that area as well. And yeah, just like learning to be more authentic, stepping out more, stepping into my power, speaking up more, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking about it the other day, because I know New Year's, it's BS basically. It's just another day really, but it does fall into like the winter solstice and new cycles and things like that.
Right.
And I think it is naturally a time of reflection. And I was just sitting there the other day just thinking that it's crazy, because you can come so far. Like, I mean, for me personally, I'm a completely different person to what I was 10 years ago. I mean, I was a total sheep, right? I was like one of those queuing. I would have been one of those queuing outside the hospital, probably. Right.
I'm glad you're not.
Huh?
I said, I'm glad you're not.
Yeah, me too. My God. Yeah, I might not be here, but it excites me, because there's always more. There's always, as a human being,
Right.
The exciting thing is that there's always more layers. We can always level up even more. We can always become energetically stronger, emotionally stronger, physically stronger. And so many people just live their life just happy with their lot, you know, just not, they don't have any kind of ambition or drive or desire to just even reach like half their potential.
Totally. Yeah. And I think as humans, you know, it's like one of the greatest gifts that we have on this planet is being able to do that and to like fulfill that potential. Like one of my greatest fears is dying and not learning like what my full potential is. That's literally one of my biggest fears, you know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that. So that's why I love going out of my comfort zone, and like, no matter how scary it might seem, I know it's really rewarding. You know, and I think that it's important for us to remember that, like, it's difficult. Change isn't meant to be easy necessarily, but when we let go of what we're holding on to so tightly, we make space for things that are so magical and so amazing, and we don't know, you know, like that mystery is really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, that deathbed analogy, although it's a little bit morbid, I use that quite often. And it's a great leveler, because I always think to myself, you don't want to be at the end of your life just laying there thinking, coulda, shoulda, would have,
Exactly.
I had all this potential like unlocked inside of me, and I didn't explore it. I didn't try to. I mean, I talk about everyone's born with like a magic box, right? And most people, they don't even open their magic box up, right?
Oh my God, it's heartbreaking, right? Like to like think about that. It's like, oh my God, we all have so many gifts and talents that we were given. It's like open the box and see what's inside.
Yeah,
Have some
absolutely.
curiosity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So just going back on kind of what you were saying before about kind of feeling things, and that's one of the areas you're looking to improve on this year. This kind of ties in nicely with the whole like feminine, masculine, feminine dynamic that we're gonna get into.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk, and I talk about it a lot on my channel, about how males have been emasculated and the issues there. But from a female's point of view, talk to me a little bit more about how the feminine has been attacked, and what is feminine energy, and how can females reclaim feminine energy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for starters, like look at OnlyFans, Instagram, social media, like seriously, like all of this, all of these things I've noticed over the years have created this pool of women just completely throwing out their power. You know what I mean? And like allowing themselves to be stepped on, really, because when you do that, you're disrespecting yourself in some form. Um, I grew up with like really very strong morals. My dad was, I think I had mentioned this in our last video. My dad was very strict growing up. So, I literally wasn't allowed to like even wear shorts till I was like, like 15. And like, he's like, I don't want you painting your nails red and this and that. Like
Is that why you're so heavily into fashion now as well?
Yes. Like I'm rebellious. But yeah, no, I grew up with these morals, and like, it's back then I was just like, oh, but like all my friends are doing it. It's not fair. I want to fit in. And as I got older, I started to realize like, wow, what a gift that was. Because that to me is true feminine energy, stepping into your power without needing to like shove it in people's faces or throw your power out that way or disrespect yourself in any way. So, like, I think that that's one of the things that I'm very grateful for, and how I see women at women my age, 20, 27, 28-year-olds, like they just completely, they do that. And then they're like, I can't find a high value man. And they come to me with this, right? Because I coach them through it, and I'm like, okay, so let's dive deeper into why that's the case. And usually it's because they feel a sense of entitlement of like, you must take me as this, and I'm not going to, compromise or meet you halfway. And if you don't take me as this, and you don't do this and this and this and this for me, then you're not high value and you're not worth my time, and it's like, well, that's not the way it works.
Yeah,
that's not the way it works.
Yeah, there's a whole list of requirements that some women have. A man's got to be over 6 foot, he's got to earn 6 figures, he's got to be emotionally stable for her, he's got to do this, he's got to do that, he's got to do this. And it's a bit of a problem, because those men are very rare to find, right?
Yeah, and the other thing I always say is like, you have to embody what you want. You don't just get to sit there and say, I want a 10 out of 10, I want this, I want that. Like, if you're not embodying that and you're not working on yourself to attract that high value man or high value woman, you're not going to get it. It's just not the way it works.
Yeah, and feminism is, enshrined in that. You've got all like this body positivity and things like this, and the idea that a man has to be in shape and have a 6-pack, and but women can just be huge, and that's okay. It's all skewed, it's all wrong. They've been fed a lot of lies through feminism, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of like the worst things, honestly. That's what has manipulated so much.
Yeah.
Like standing up, like, yeah, women's rights. But I always say the rise of women doesn't mean the fall of men.
No.
And I think that's where people get confused. It's like they start like supporting women and they're pro woman, but like what about the men? You know, like men are such an important part and aspect of society. They've done so much for us, you know, and like our ancestors have fought so much for us and done so much for us. So where's the respect there? You know, where's the love? Where's the compassion for the men in our life as well?
Yeah. Yeah. I say that they've weaponized women. The modern Western woman has basically been weaponized.
For sure.
So in terms of like feminine energy, what would you say are the characteristics that embody a feminine woman?
Right. I would say a woman who's intuitive, who's in tune with her emotions, who is nurturing, who's compassionate, you know, who shows like love, but is also, that doesn't mean she's meek. It just means, you know, she's strong, but knows when to be loving and compassionate as well. You know, so I think it's that fine line, that balance. I think a lot of people, they say, but if I'm strong with my feminine energy, then I have to be like weak and meek and like not speak my truth. It's like, no, actually, like a strong woman is one who can speak her truth and do it with respect and love, you know? So I think that's like the main aspect of feminine energy.
Yeah, yeah. So how do we women regain that feminine essence? Is there like a blueprint that they need to follow, or?
Yeah, I would say, I think a lot of it is learning to trust their bodies. I think that everyone is so disconnected from their bodies, but women especially, because all they do is work 24/7. You know, they come home, they're drinking, they're like going out, they're partying, this and that. They're not really sitting with themselves and they're not allowing themselves to feel. So I think that that's probably one of the biggest things, is like tuning into your body and like what you're feeling, doing dance. You know, I think dance is something I love to do, and it just allows me to flow, getting into a creative, you know, nature, doing things that, you know, stimulate your creativity and help you feel attractive and sexy and in a beautiful way. So yeah, I think that those are some things that women can do right now to start cultivating a little bit more of that and stepping into that. And naturally, when that happens, a high value man who is very rooted and grounded in his masculinity will be like, I'm attracted to that, because those polar opposites will be attracted, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's big. That's something that I personally do myself. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely each sex is very frustrated with each other, right? So you've got the men are frustrated because the women are in their masculine, and we're complaining about that, and then the women are complaining that the men are not in their masculine, so they're complaining about that. So
yes. Oh my God, people are like, I hate men, this and that, and it's like, well, that's not going to get us anywhere.
Yeah. So they've basically, like, they invert everything. They've inverted the sexes to lead to this situation whereby, you know, they've pretty much emasculated the males. And of course, if you want to control society, you've got to take out the masculine energy, and
absolutely,
they've done that so well up to now. So it's a big problem.
Yeah, and messing with the family unit, you know, that's huge. And you know, it's interesting, because I was actually talking to my mom about it the other day, and she was like, you know, back in the day, men were so grounded in their masculinity, and it's like men were men, women were women, you know. And it's interesting because those relationships worked really well. And now you see so much divorce, so many breakups, like people having kids from 5 different people, this and that. And it's like, oh my God, there's so much happening. It's a lot.
Well, it used to be that the males, when you look at old films like in the 50s or you know, that they were very like stoic, and they would always be on their mission, their purpose, and the women would kind of like flock around them to try and get their attention. And but now the dynamics have changed with like Instagram, and you've got all this simping going on, where where the men are just like bombarding women with all this free attention, and it's and on a subconscious level, I don't think women have respect for these men, because they're not doing what they should be doing. They're not on their mission, their purpose. So I think there's like a subconscious disdain for that kind of energy, from what I hear anyway.
Yes, agreed. And coming from a woman, like I can tell you now that is not it's not cute to have men that are like constantly, you know what I mean, like worshiping you. It's like women don't, a conscious woman at least doesn't want that. You don't want a man that's constantly like focused on the woman, like focus on your purpose, and that will expand the relationship. And that will make the woman feel more attracted to you.
Yes, absolutely. And I was reading the other day, even things like dating. It used to be back in those days where, like, now we have obviously like Tinder and Bumble and all that stuff. But back then it was like that the woman would only be like exclusively dating one person, and it would be like very slow, and like maybe just if she was found out to be dating someone else while she was kind of dating, it was like all like really different to what it is now. Everyone seemed to have like morals back then, and I don't know, it's kind of I guess kind of romantic really when you look at how it used to be compared to what it is now, right?
Oh, for sure. The dating apps are one thing that has like completely ruined, and I've never been on that stuff. Like I've never liked that stuff. I'm like, it's so shallow. It's just completely based on ego of like, oh, attractive, not attractive,
Yeah, it's something like very kind of satanic about it. I mean, what, like, you look at the word Tinder, it's like, what's that? It's like burnt wood, and then like the flame thing. So no doubt someone in Tavistock came up with these ideas, right? But it's such a. But the good thing is, I'm seeing a lot now in social media. There's a big movement within like men where we're starting to recognise what's going on. And this is really growing now, and so there is pushback on it all, but I think we've got a way to go yet. There's still a lot of simping going on. There's still a lot of we need to just sorry,
I said there's so much of that.
Oh, it makes me sick, it really does. And oh my god, it's funny because here in Mexico, especially if you go to a place like Tulum, I mean, do you know in Mexico we have cenotes?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, they're amazing. They're beautiful, right?
So magical.
And for the listeners that don't know, they're basically like natural sinkholes or caverns underwater, like underground water system, basically, because there was a meteor that hit this area. So they're absolutely stunning. And there's quite a lot of them around Tulum. And you go there and it's full of women taking pictures for Instagram, right? Because they're showing their butt, they're on the rocks, and they're doing that stupid horse leg thing. What's that all about? When did that come? First we had the duck lips, like about 10 years ago.
That was like, that's like not trendy anymore.
That's gone now. Now we've got this stupid, ridiculous horse leg where they put the leg out and they just look friggin' ridiculous to me.
I think I've seen a meme with that. Like,
I'm not joking you. And the other day I went to one with some friends, and I was sitting there on the side watching this woman. She must have been in her 20s.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I'm not joking, right? The whole entire time she was there, she was either getting people to take pictures of herself, or she was taking pictures of other people. And she was getting pissed off with people who were swimming, like, that were getting in the way of the picture. Like, it was unbelievable. I'm like, what the frick am I watching here? Like, this is the state of the modern woman. Like, not all of them, but this is the state. They're completely consumed with social media, getting likes, getting attention, getting 100%. Free validation, all this. And men are to blame because they post one picture, they get 565 likes in 20 minutes, right? Right. And we know that women like validation is part of your nature, right? It's part of female nature. So they've invented all these different apps and Instagram to kind of tie into all of that. So now people don't really need real interactions. So
weird. And it's not enough to get validation from your partner anymore. I noticed that people are like, I like attention from like other men and other things. And I'm like, it's not healthy, you know, that's not good for a long-term relationship. That's not good. You know, and it's just, and it's I mean, it's unfair to the person you're dating if that's the case, you know, like honesty is important, right? And like being loyal is important as well. So there's so much, and it really, I see it because I work with so many clients that, and a lot of women, I work mostly with women, and they come to me with this, and I'm like, oh my God, this is all just one big mess. And I'm like, all right, look, I have to start with this. This is all a plan. It's part of the agenda. I wish I could go that far, but I'm like, they'll run away with that information because it's too much to handle. But yeah, it's crazy because social media really has ruined that. You know, it really has damaged that. And then you have things like, you know, my partner liked the photo of a girl in a bikini, this and that, you know, and like it's just this whole thing where people break up over social media, and there's so many options and so many visuals and stuff, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything anymore, does it? The connections doesn't mean anything. I remember a time when, my God, I'm showing my age. When you used to meet, if you met someone, you'd actually call them on the proper telephone. you get their landline number and you call them on the proper telephone. Those days are long gone. Now we've got texting and all that stuff as well.
Snapchat and stuff. Like I don't even have that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like I don't think I'm, honestly, I don't think I'm 27. I think I'm an older soul.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm like stuck in this body, and I'm like, help me, no one gets it. It's crazy.
It really is. I think, just technology has ruined like normal human connection. I mean, I've got so many stories I could tell you here from, like, there was another time. There was another time when I was
golden.
Sorry?
Golden. Tell me, Tony.
Oh yeah, you like my stories, don't you?
Yeah.
So there was this other day, I was walking along the beach.
Yeah.
And there's two girls, and they're speaking to the jet ski guy, the high guy. And I was just sitting down, just watching. I thought, oh, cool, they're gonna get the jet ski, and just observing life and stuff. So anyway, these two girls, they get on the jet ski, give the guy the phone, get all these pictures taken. Then they get off. He gives the phone back, and they walk off.
They didn't even do the jet ski. You didn't even have the experience. Are you kidding me?
I'm serious. I don't know whether it's like
social media is deceiving.
Social media. I don't know whether it's here in Latin America, but or Central America rather. But I guess it's not. I mean, I think it's bad everywhere with all of that. I mean, it's like people are like crack addicts.
Yeah, they are. It's gotten to that point of like people need likes and comments and all that. Like I had a friend, I'm no longer like really friends with her for the purpose that like we you know, we're on very different paths, and that's okay. It is what it is. But I was friends with her for many years. I met her in high school, and she started like an interior design business and stuff like that. And she started like a page on Instagram for it. And it's interesting because like a lot of her photos was really showing off her, you know what I mean? Like she would wear low cut shirts and her cleavage was out and stuff. And it's like, what are you promoting? What are you showing? Are you showing that? Or are you showing your interior design business? Like I'm a little confused. And she would do that to get attention, to get likes, of course. And she would always tell me, she's like, oh, I would just want to have like 1 million followers. Like, should I buy followers? And I'm like, okay, that's it. Like,
God. Yeah, no wonder you're not friends with her.
I was like, that's it. I can't do that anymore. It's like, oh my God. And it's like, and then on top of that, people like gain a following, and then you're not using your platform to help others. You know, it's like, that bothers me the most.
Yes.
Because it's like, you have the ability to gain a following, use that to your advantage. You know, don't just sit there and put photos of your butt.
Yeah. Well, it annoys me because I've spent 5-6 years trying to grow my YouTube channel, and I'm only at 9,000 subscribers thereabouts. And you get some woman with a nice figure. She posts one photo. She's got like 30,000 followers. So you're right. They have all this attention, but they're not doing anything with it. They're not helping society. They're not even helping themselves.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe they're directing people to their OnlyFans.
Oh my God, that thing. Like, that's just
Which is
like,
basically just porn. I
it
mean,
is. Yeah.
they've literally just turned Instagram into another version of porn, right?
Yeah, I don't even know how that works. I don't even know, like, I have no idea how OnlyFans works. Like, is it like a personal thing? Like, people pay personally?
So it works like if you get one of those Instagram models, they
Right.
will charge a fee, like a monthly fee, and then all the simps, the men, will pay,
Yeah.
and they'll never actually interact with her personally, but they'll pay for her videos, like her sexy videos, her photos, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, God.
So the men are not getting anything from it, like
Yeah.
apart from visual stuff,
And you're
which
giving
is
money.
not doing anything to like increase their own sense of worth, sense of self, masculine growth.
Strange. Very
But
strange.
the woman's getting big payday. So
Yeah, and you know what's sad? It's like I see these men and I'm like, you could be as a man, you could be so powerful and have a line of women like after you if you learn how to use your masculine energy to your advantage. Seriously.
absolutely,
You know,
yeah,
it's like women love that. Like, again, a conscious woman. Women who are not on that path might not, see that as attractive, whatever, but a conscious woman, a high value woman will go after that and will like that. If a
yeah,
man is in his purpose, is grounded, is respectful, like is on this path to growth and stuff. And a woman can feel that from a man. We're so intuitive that we know and we subconsciously test the man also. It's interesting
yes.
to see. It's
We call
weird.
them shit tests.
Yes, exactly. We do. It's true. I'm just gonna be straight up honest here. Like we don't even realize that we're doing it, but we do test to see, like, are you grounded? Or do you have integrity? All these things. Can you hold space for yourself first and foremost? And
Yeah,
then, like, is that something that you can do? Can I trust you, basically?
yeah. When I learned about shit tests many moons ago now, first of all, as a man, you're a little bit pissed about it, but
Yeah,
then actually you think that's a really cute way of helping us level up, really.
exactly. We kind of just come and we're like, hey,
Yeah,
you gotta level up.
yeah, yeah. So where do you start with it all? It's such a mess. It really is. And
Yeah,
as
yeah.
you say, the whole family unit's been destroyed. Women now have been told that you can have it all. Just party on through your formative, most fertile years, and
Yeah.
this is causing a lot of frustration and sadness. In the long run, right?
For sure. Yeah, we're doing things completely like upside down. It's so weird. It's like we're not doing things the way we should be doing. We're not, honoring our own energy. We're not honoring each other's energy either. You have women like completely totally hating on men. That same friend that I told you about, she's like, "Oh, I hate men. I can't stand them, this and that." And I'm like, well, look at what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like it comes down to shadow work too. And
Yes.
inner work. It's like, well, what are you doing to
Yeah.
hate men and to have this? Like, you probably have a father wound, or you have a wound that you might have to look at. You can't just point the finger and say, oh, I hate men because of this, or because one guy hurt you, every man's the same. Like, that's not true.
Yeah, this
And
is what I don't get with like really extreme feminists. They pile all men into the same category. It's crazy
yeah,
to me.
yeah, and it's like that's a lack of emotional intelligence on their
Yeah,
end, because if you're just putting everything in one in one category, that's so unfair. How would you like it if a man did that to you? Probably wouldn't like it.
yeah,
Probably
yeah.
go crazy if you
I mean,
said that.
there's bad men out there, just like there's bad women, just like there's bad Catholics, Jews, everything, right? It's
Absolutely.
you can't put everyone or tar everyone with the same brush.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah, that's unfair to do that. Totally.
yeah, but also something we just touched on briefly that I want to make a big point of is the father figure. I
Mm.
think I think that's such a key role that can really make or break a person. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, Tony, this one's big because like I said before, my dad was such a grounding force in my life. And I, even though we clashed in certain areas and stuff, but I had a very beautiful relationship with him, and I still do. It's like daddy's little girl.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, and it's great because like I always saw him as like he was the head of the house. He was in charge of a lot of things. I felt very, very safe with him, to the point where I would freak out if my dad left on a business trip, like if he, you know, he would go to Egypt and travel for business and stuff like that. And whenever that would happen, it would trigger so much in me, like insecurity. Like I don't feel powerful without my father, you know, like I felt like this sense of power with him. And so that, like, you know, that relationship I had with him, like I cultivated that. And like, I'm really grateful that I had such a beautiful relationship, because that allowed me to like learn more about the men in my life in the past that I've dated. And I also learned like, oh, this is not what I want in a partnership, because like I really want these qualities that my father had, you know, and has. So it's huge, because a lot of the women that I work with, like usually when I get to the bottom of it and they share information with me and they open up slowly, but they share information with me, I notice they don't have a father figure. The father's missing. The father was absent emotionally, even if he was there physically. So I'm like, okay, there's definitely like a father wound here that needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
And same goes for a man. When he's missing his father, huge, you know, you could see that.
Yeah, it's a big problem. It's one that I've come across a lot in my work as well. And you mentioned there about your dad being, you know, that strong like pillar in your family. You know, he sounded like a leader. He was directing the family, and I just, as a man, I love to hear that, because that to me is like embodying true male energy. You know, he was leading the charge. He was directing the way it should be. And now you look at, I mean, even with some of my own friends, you know, it's like, oh, what was it? Happy wife, happy life, and all this like, and I'm not saying that your wife shouldn't be happy with you, but it's that whole kind of submissive energy, which is I can tell that they're not in their masculine in the relationship just by saying that. And then I've got other friends that you ask them to go out and they'll go, oh, I just need to check with the wife, and like they need permission or something like that. And it's like,
that's not healthy. That starts to weigh on you, and you know, like both parties should have, of course, boundaries, but also the freedom to be who they are. Absolutely. And to have their friend group. You know, men need friends, they need brotherhood, they need to go out with their friends and have fun with them, you know. Like when a woman starts getting controlling of like, you must be with me, you must always like hang out with me, it's like not cute, because also that attraction, that mystery will disappear.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that, you know, people like they merge too much to the point where then it's like, okay, I don't find you attractive anymore.
Yeah, you start to lose yourself, right? It's I've been there. It's smothering. It's too much. You can't. I feel like you have to be free within the boundaries of the relationship. Not that you're going to go out and cheat or, you know, do all this stuff, but you have to have your own. Especially as a man, you have to have your own like hobbies, and for men, I think as well, this is something that I've realized a lot in the last few months, because here now in Mexico, there's huge amounts of people coming here because it's one of the last bastions of freedom, I think, here.
I think I might be having to go there this
year.
Yeah,
there's I'm telling you, there's a massive, it's so, I'm so lucky to be here, because
so good.
I mean, we all meet up, a lot of us on a Saturday, and 2 or 3 years ago, there was 2 or 3 of us. Now there's like 2 massive tablefuls of people. But what's happened is that obviously within this community, there's now a lot of men, right?
Yeah.
And what we've formed here is a men's group, and we all get together like conscious, awake men, like, and we just do all these different activities. And I've really realized the importance as a man for having that brotherhood, and especially like conscious, awake men as well. It's such a joy. It really does feed the soul. And what happens with a lot of men in relationships is that they just neglect their friends. They just, 1 minute they're there, then they get into a relationship, and then you never see them again.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I see that so much too. It's like they get they start like, let me ask my partner, my wife, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, is that your mom?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, don't play the, you know, that dynamic, you know, it's not, yeah, and the woman doesn't want to do that. Like the woman will not, it's like when women start to feel like they can control a man, they're going to start looking for another guy.
Yeah, the
Like
respect goes. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So it's like that, like, and I didn't see that playing out with my mom and my dad. You know,
No.
my mom was always so respectful to my dad, and he was insanely respectful to her. But he like had his friend group, he had his own, you know, like his own life, his own stuff. My mom had her stuff, and they were both extremely loyal. Nothing ever happened. You know, they both like worked through things together if they ever did have any issues and stuff. So like, you know, and they were able to continue loving each other and feeling that attraction for each other. You know,
Yeah.
so like, it's not impossible. You know, it's people think that's impossible. It's like it's really not. It's just
No.
we've been taught differently, and like we've been manipulated for so long.
Yeah. We've somehow got to turn the tables back to those days where those natural dynamics existed.
Yeah.
But they've done such a job on the majority of people. It's going to take time, but it is definitely starting to creep back. People are starting to realize slowly that, hang on a minute, this, what we're being told here is BS.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that you said that before, because I do see men are definitely like waking up. I see so many like men's pages and stuff that I'm like fascinated by, you know, because I'm like, oh wow, this is great that this information is now available to men. Now, for the men that don't want to see it or don't want to do the work, you know what I mean? It's like no one can force you, but to the man who is willing to step up and rise up to the challenge, that's again, it's attractive. It's a turn on to many women, to a conscious woman. So that, you know, at the end of the day, that's really what matters. And if you want to have a really beautiful, committed, like spiritual relationship, that's needed from both parties, you know, to work on yourself and rise to the challenge and like continue going inward and all that.
Yeah, I was just listening to an audio book. What was it called? Now I can't remember it. Typical. I still got it up.
Yeah. Now I need to know because I want to listen.
Yeah. What was it? I can't remember it. If it comes to me in a second. But it was basically saying about how men are basically just they're turned. Oh yeah, it's called No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that book. Yeah.
Yeah, you can listen to it on YouTube. It's about 6 hours long. But
okay. I'll sit with it.
yeah, right. But it basically talks about how when men are nice guys and they want to be liked by everyone, and you know, they're submissive to everyone, it does stem back from childhood quite often, and maybe they were made to feel unsafe at home, you know, by either the mum. Maybe they were smothered by the mum.
Yeah.
So they grow up being almost like people pleasers. And in this, their energy exists in like this safety bubble where they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to speak their truth. They don't want to go out of their comfort zone. So they turn into these quote unquote nice guys.
Yeah.
And so they're actually being ingenuine. They're not being true to themselves. Yeah. And they're basically fake, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
and they're scoreboarding, you know, because they're expecting something always.
Yeah, exactly. So the book, I mean, it offers like loads of different solutions and stuff, but it basically is saying that men need to be more selfish again, and you know, not that you have to be like a total jerk or anything like that, but just to regain that balance of actually, you know, I need to do what's right for me and what's right for my purpose and my mission, and then everything actually, or as you said, organically falls in around that, and the man then starts to attract the things into his life but it's kind of like a mental schism, because I think a lot of men, they feel like if they do embody that, then they're going to upset people and, you know, rock the apple cart, and so it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Totally. And that's the thing. It's like when you level up and when you grow, you're naturally going to lose people. You know, naturally, that's part of I mean, that really is, to me, that's spirituality. It's loss. You know, that's the path of loss. You know, it's like that it's not about the new age stuff. I won't even get into that. I promise. But like that's for the next time. But yeah, it's like spirituality to me is the path of loss. Like as you grow spiritually, you're going to lose things naturally. Like people are going to fall out of your life, relationships are going to get out, like men that no longer serve you, women that no longer serve you, opportunities, jobs, friendships, everything.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to be so committed to that path that you know and you trust that even if I'm on this path and even if I lose whatever I have now, whatever I'm comfortable with now, I'm going to attract what is meant for me in the future.
Yeah.
And that knowing that is powerful.
Yeah. And yeah, the more I sort of think about what it means to be a man, I'm actually really, really proud to be a man. Like in terms of, and I think we should be in terms of what our energy is, what we stand for, as you mentioned there, like the sacrifice. The problem is we're sacrificing our own needs too much for, but yeah, I mean, you look at, as you mentioned before, and women have an extremely important role. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but I'm just speaking from a man's point of view.
Yeah.
Like everything, when you look around you, we built it, right? It's, you know, to the house you're living in, to, you know, it's a real honor. And to see how throughout the ages we've stood up to tyranny, we've changed, you know, we've changed certain dynamics. And what I really want is I want men to reignite that pride of what it means to be a man, to embody that action taking, that protective role in society, that that purpose, that mission, that drive. You know, find out what it is, find out why you're here. And it's not to just be sitting on Instagram all day simping after models, right?
Right, exactly. No, I mean, I love that, Tony. And I also want to say that you embody that as a man, you know, so through that, you know, other men are naturally going to see that. And like the men in your circle, you know, are going to start seeing that and shifting and changing if it feels right to them. But, you know, as you embody that, like other men start seeing that. And I think that's really the best thing. That's the path of integrity too, of like, I walk this path and I'm showing people how to act and how to show up. And, you know, in turn, those people will also do the same. Yeah,
I try. I mean, I'm not the finished article, but there's plenty of layers to get through. So, so just back on we've gone over the masculine quite a lot, actually. So in terms of like feminine energy, what do you think is what do you think is there any like practical things that women can do in terms of?
So I think personally, I think dancing, like I said before, dancing is probably like one of the best things because it's flowing, you're moving your body, you're feeling, also allows you to feel more attractive. It allows you to feel more like a lot sexier in your body as well, more confident. And you start to embody that. So I think, you know, dancing would be one thing. You know, going after any creative pursuits, like anything that you feel in your heart you want to do, which is painting, drawing, you know, photography, like literally anything that you feel sparks your soul and your heart as a woman. I think going after that and having passion for something is also really, really attractive. I think it's attractive in both, of course, also with men, but with women, that's really attractive because you start to really step into that pride you feel of like using that energy to create, right? Because feminine energy is creative, it's creating, it's all about creation and birth and all of that. So those are probably the best things.
Yeah, that's another thing that's been lost, isn't it? That with females, the whole creative energy through art and things like that.
Yeah, because they're all stuck in like the corporate jobs. They're all trying to climb the ladder. They're all trying to like outdo men. You know, they're trying to compete with men. And I always think to myself, like, why do you want to compete with men? Like, let the man do his thing. That's attractive.
Let us do that.
Me, you know?
Why do you think we die early? Why do you think we die before women?
It's true. That's so funny. It's so true. Exactly. It's like, let the man be the man. Let him do his thing, you know? Like, you have so many gifts and talents that you could bring to the table as a woman. So, like, honor that and step into that, you know? And it's like, why like it's weird when women want to compete with men and they're like, I want to one up a man. And it's like, it's not.
Well, they did a study, didn't they? They said female CEOs are like one of the most unhappiest.
Of course. Oh my God. I wonder why, it's like, of course, when women are like the ones that are like, yeah, I want to bring all the money and then all this. And it's like, again, making money and wanting to be ambitious and succeed is great. But now if you're doing it with a sense of competition and like, wanting to climb and outdo a man, then that's when it becomes an issue.
I think women are innately happy when they are in a stable relationship and they're raising children, right? But it's very taboo to say that now. Like if men say that, we're misogynists. We're honestly, you can't say those kind of things. I mean, I can say it on my YouTube channel because people are open-minded that listen to this. But in general, like if you go out onto the street and you have a conversation in a coffee shop or something and you start saying these things, people get really triggered and angry. Like feminism's done such a job to the point where we can't even discuss this through honest eyes.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, I had a conversation the other day with a friend. I don't the other day, probably like a month ago. Again, I don't even know what day it is. But I posted something on my story, and I think it was something about that, like just the masculine feminine dynamic. And it's so interesting because she didn't have a father figure. So she got there. I knew that, and I'm like, she got really triggered. She's like, I looked through that guy's page. I can't stand his page, this and that. And I'm like, oh, I mean, like whatever about his page, I just shared this post, And I'm like, well, I mean, this resonated with me. So, I mean, that's why I shared it. And she's like, yeah, no, I mean, I love you so much. Like, it's not personal. Like, and I'm like, it's fine. It's okay. We can have a conversation. Yeah, have a conversation. It's okay. And she's like, yeah, well, I don't know. I just feel like like a woman can be badass and like climb to the top and do this and that. It's like we don't have to be with children all the time and like have to nurture.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, I mean, and you're saying that as a woman, right? So imagine if a man starts saying things like that. Oh, you're a misogynist. You're a pig. You're what? You think we should just be chained to the kitchen? It's like, no. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that women, by their very essence, are creative. The birth they give birth, right? It's one of the things that you do, one of the most important things. So it stands to reason that if you're raising a family, that I mean, here in Central America, it's really lovely because they haven't destroyed the family unit yet. I mean, you're half Colombian, so you probably noticed that as well.
Yeah, the values are strong there with family.
Yeah, it's really lovely to. The other day I was just walking past some houses and there were just whole groups of people listening to music in the home. Like the women were like looking after the children and the men were just drinking a beer and it's like, and I walked past, I was like, you don't like, that's not something that you see too often in the Western world these days. They really, totally. But there's a huge movement of feminism going on, certainly in Mexico. Here in Playa, there was like the other day there was like 1,000 women walking down the main strip here with banners and I'm like, they're trying to bring feminism here because they know that they know that the family unit's still strong here. For sure.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's the same in Colombia, but they're definitely looking to work that out of society here now.
Yeah, they know which cultures to attack. They've attacked certain cultures, but they know like, oh, the Hispanic culture, the Latin culture, like it's still very, very grounded with like family values. The the Egyptian culture too. My dad's family, like I have a massive family on his side in Egypt, and I haven't been in a very long time, but it's been like 10 years. But the last time I went, like the weddings that they have and the parties that they have are just like, it's all family oriented. It's all about like, there's all the kids and the women are with the kids and taking care of them and playing with them. And the men are all together, just like maybe like smoking a cigarette and just like having tea and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see that. And it feels right. It's interesting when you're there, the energy feels right.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It just feels right.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're so far away from that. I guess in America it's the same, right? In the UK certainly.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Here in the US, it's bad. It's really bad here. It's like, oh man, I don't even want to be in the US anymore. Like, that's how bad it is here. Yeah. It's just, you feel like an alien. Like, people look at you like you have 10 heads when you say stuff like this. It's like, how dare you say that? And I'm like, well, it's what I think.
Yeah, I quite like that reaction though. I always think if you're not triggering people, then whatever you're saying is not holding any kind of value, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And my friend, like, I triggered her and I think she sat with it, because I was like, we had like a little bit of a back and forth, a conversation. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, like, sit with it, sit with why you're feeling so. She was very triggered and I felt the energy, and I'm like, sit with it, because there's obviously something there if it triggered you this much.
Yes.
So she was like, yeah. And then like, probably a week ago, she messaged me again and she was like, yeah, I've been like doing a lot of like work on that and like looking forward. Yeah. So I was like, okay, at least she's doing that. At least she sat with it and stuff.
Yeah, and
but
she's taking responsibility for her reaction.
Totally. A lot of people don't do that. They just get angry. It's your fault. You're the villain. I'm not gonna look at myself.
We need to come up with a phrase about whenever you're triggered, it's your, or something that rhymes.
Yeah, we have to, we'll come up with that.
Yeah, it really is the case though. If you get triggered by anything, just look at what's making you triggered. Yeah,
it's really what it comes down to. All of it is, it comes down to the responsibility and the inner work, If you're not doing that, then you're missing a very big part of your healing.
Absolutely. So just we've spoken a lot about relationships and stuff today, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
So when you're a relationship coach, so what's like the main issue that people come to you with these days?
The women come with.
That was one big eye roll there.
Like, oh man. Well, the women, I've had a few male clients, but the women that I've coached, they come with, the man is not like showing up. He's not.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, he's not communicating. A lot of like social media stuff too, like at least like my age group, right? Like I see
like the man's liking other women's pictures and all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Talking to other women, this and that. Like there's a lot of that. Yeah, that's big. Narcissism also very big.
Yeah.
It's like.
But don't you find, right, that everyone's a narcissist these days? Like, where did that come from? Like, I see it all the time, and it's always coming from women.
Yeah, he's a narcissist.
The ex is always a narcissist.
Yeah.
I mean, did you do anything wrong in the relationship as well, or is it totally him?
Bingo, exactly. Yes,
because
when women come to me with that, it's like, okay, I don't know your ex. Okay, I can't judge him. I have no idea who this man is. I can only listen to what you're telling me about him. What I'm here to do is help you look at your stuff. Right. So you don't attract that anymore. If that was the case, and so you don't attract that anymore. It's like, what about you? What toxic qualities do you have that attracted that man in the first place? Right?
Exactly, right.
It's and get like, oh my God, I didn't do anything. It's like, I'm like, no.
If I had a pound for everyone that told me that their ex was a narcissist, I would be a millionaire right now. I'm not joking you. and I'm not saying that there aren't like people like that out there, but it's like you say, it's like, okay, what are you going to do to improve your situation in the future other than point the finger? What was it in you that drew that person in? And I don't know if a lot of people do look at things like that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. Their pride is it's too big. It's like they don't want to look past it. It's like, set your pride to the side for 1 second, just 1 second, and like look at why you're doing this. Because if you don't, guess what's going to happen? You're going to bring that to the next relationship, and it's just going to keep playing out. Like nothing's going to change. You're not going to see any changes. It's like you're blaming, you're pointing the finger. Also, that's a massive red flag when you bring that to the next partner. Oh, my ex was a narcissist or this and that. It's like, okay, what are you gonna do about that? You know what I mean? Like, what's your role here? Like, what did you do in the relationship? So, but again, people not taking ownership is one of the hardest things. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm fully aware that there are people like that. And in fact, I talk about people that are actually completely taken over by entities and love bite relationships. So I know that stuff does exist. So I'm not like demeaning it, but there is also something in looking at your own blind spot, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it always comes down to that. So
yeah. Good. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it. So do you just want to tell the listeners again where they can find you and yada yada, all that stuff?
Yes. Of course, thank you. So if anyone wants to chat or work with me one-on-one, you could find me on Instagram at Yasmin Elzomor, and my Humanity Feels podcast also, if you guys want to listen to that. I'm going to have Tony on a lot more. We're going to be doing so many more fun episodes. So yeah, that's basically it for now.
And you don't have OnlyFans on your Instagram?
I do. Sorry, guys, I don't have that. You can't find that with me.
Oh, good. No, that was great. We went into stuff I didn't think we were going to get into today.
I know. So really well.
They're always the best podcasts, aren't they?
Yes. When we spontaneously get into
we pushed the boundaries a little bit today. I like that. So
yeah, we're gonna trigger here and there, maybe.
yeah, always good. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna put all Yasmin's links in the description below, so go and check her out. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Yasmin, we will see you again very shortly. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you.